In this video, we will focus on the basic skill on solving quadratic inequalities and common misconceptions. So this is a question. We have a quadratic inequalities. So what we need to do will be to simplify the expression till we get a quadratic expression. And then with that, we proceed to do factorization till we get 2x minus 1 times x plus 3. Now, at this point, what we observe is some of the common misconception, including which a lot of students, when they see the inequality sign, which is greater than 0, and henceforth, they just simply assume that the result will be 2x minus 1 greater or equal to 0, or x plus 3 greater or equal to 0. So you notice that over here, they just simply assume that the two inequality sign is exactly the same as what is given. However, in this case, what we need to do, all right, is to use graphical method. So when we do graphical method, what we will need to have in the diagram, it will be this, which is represent the x-axis. And what we also observe is that this is a positive graph whereby you see the coefficient of x squared is positive, which means we will be getting a minimum graph. So with a minimum graph, what we will have is we will able to identify the two intersect, which is -3, and the other value will be half. Now with this, then we proceed to identify the region. So in this case, the region that we see, it is greater than 0. So if it is greater or equal to 0, that means the whole curve, it has to be above the x-axis. So when it is above the x-axis, we are referring to the upper portion of the graph. So which is, we see the left segment here and also the right portion of the graph, which is above the x-axis. And with this, then what we will do is we will be able to identify the region. So this is positive, positive. It means the value of y is positive. And this region below the x-axis is simply referred to the y values are negative. So given this, then if we want to write down the solution, it is simply means that all the values of x, it is actually from this point onwards. Similarly, we have the other segment, that is the range of values of x, it is actually from this point onwards. So given this result, hence we will get the answer, that is, therefore x is less than or equals to -3, or x is greater or equals to half. Now, at this point, we also observe some of the misconception, all right, the wrong representation of the solution. These are quite common. So the first common error that we see is students tend to, when they combine the two answers, right, they tend to write this. So which means they say that, oh, because x is less than or equals to -3, so therefore they have x less than or equals to -3. So they have the first section of the answers. Then they also look at the second half, which is x is greater or equals to half. So therefore, they also combine this together. It says that x is greater or equals to half. But when you take a look at this solution, you realize that it doesn't make sense. Because how can the value -3 be greater than half? So this answer here is incorrect. Then there is another common answers that we see is students tend to write down the range as less than -3 and greater than half, whereby original inequality sign is supposed to be greater or equal to. So there is an equal sign included. So this, right, is the common misconception. So when you write down the final answer, you will need to take note of what is the given inequalities.